Hello and welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be talking about some new Deep Rock Galactic stuff. Season 4 has now officially dropped on the beta. It just dropped yesterday as of recording this video. I'm recording this shortly after I tried this out for about 2 hours. So the beta is here for anybody that is on Steam. This is an open beta, so anybody can play it if you would like to. The way to do this, I'll show you really quick. Right over here on your Steam page, be sure to find Deep Rock in your library. Right click on this, go down to your properties. Click on that and then go down to the betas tab. Once you click this, be sure to click on this top part here and be sure to select the experimental build. I'm not going to do that because I already have it on there. This is also the same way that you get to the Legacy Edition if you would ever like to play that as well. Then just wait for it to install. This isn't a huge update, although nothing in Deep Rock is really that big. Once you have that good to go, then you can start playing the beta as much as you would like. So some important questions that I've been asked about with the beta is, do you get to keep all the equipment that you get during the beta, and does this mess with your current save? No to both of those. You don't get to keep any sort of equipment that you get in the beta. So anything that you unlock, whether that be overclocks, cosmetics, more money, more materials, the new cosmetics, the new battle pass, anything like that does not carry over to your normal save. As well as this does not affect your normal save either. This is a separate save from what your normal save is. This is an older one that Deep Rock has already picked out for you, so you will be lower leveled and you may not have as much stuff unlocked as you currently do. As well as, since this is the beta, there is a cheats terminal. If you go right over to that, it's right outside the medical bay. You can then turn on all of the overclocks, you can turn on all the cosmetics. So if you're brand new to the game and you want to try out certain overclocks, you can do it through here. That way you kind of get the idea of it, as well as you can get an infinite amount of resources from it. This is why nothing comes from the beta over to the actual game, because otherwise that would be a little bit too strong. So let's talk about the new beta and Season 4 and what we have to look forward to. We have the Rockpox Corrupter. We have Harold here, at least that's what everybody's calling him. This is a meteor that you have to kill, similar to how you have to decontaminate the other meteors. You have to spray this with the lithofoamer and then suck up all the foam with the lithovac. This will break down its armor over a course of time. It actually has 6 armor bars, I believe. I only ran into one of these once, and this is tied to the meteors itself, so I believe this can only be on the lithophage outbreak missions. I'm not entirely sure about that. Don't quote me on any of this, because a lot of this could change in the future, and I could just get some of this information wrong. But you can get him, you can fight him, and he is a pretty scary fight. He's got a big slam move, which seems to down you instantly on Haz 5. He can move surprisingly fast once you start spraying him with the lithofoamer too. I was not expecting him to actually be able to run as quick as he can. And he does just leave lithophage on the ground passively as you go across. This lithophage actually does hurt you over time though, unlike the regular lithophage that just kind of builds up your meter and then you will be attacked by it. This one actually damages you as you go across, and it will build up your meter, I believe. Once you break off all of his armor, then you can damage him with conventional means, guns, axes, pickaxe, whatever it might be. Hit him with that until he dies. He will then burst into a bunch of plague hearts that you can pick up and then deposit in Molly or in the rig. So first up, the mini boss I really like. I think it's really cool. It's very terrifying. It's very creepy, and it has some really weird sound effects, all of which I really enjoy about this. We have some other new enemies too, which we can talk about here. First up, we have the Glyphid Stingtail. This is the scorpion. Well, kind of a scorpion mixed with almost like a rhino, where he will try to grab you with his tail and pull you towards him and then stab you. He'll basically try to gore you with his horns. That doesn't seem to do tons of damage, at least as of right now, although it can disrupt you because his reach is extremely far. I didn't think it would be as long as it actually is in the game. He seems to be able to grab you at basically any distance as long as he can see you, and he can grab you off of things too, so I can see this being an issue at some point of somebody getting pulled off of a cliff because of a stingtail. They also seem fairly common. They were the most common new unique enemy that we did see. They seem to spawn up similar to maybe like Praetorians, maybe not as common as Praetorians, maybe a little bit more rare than that. But they weren't as rare as sometimes when you get a Menace or sometimes even Wardens. So they do pop up pretty often. Their weak point is on the top of their head. Once you pull away the armor, they have a series of eyes, I think, that is light blue. You can shoot that and then you can deal really high damage to them. They weren't too bad to fight. I didn't really have any issues with them. They are a really cool enemy though, and I can definitely see this jump scaring a lot of people. So this will be a really fun enemy, and I really enjoy this one. We also have the new septic spreader, which sadly I never got to see during the beta when I was playing. At least for the first 2 hours. I'm sure I'll get to see it later on down the line, because the beta is still going for 2 weeks for everybody on Steam. It'll be 3 weeks for everybody on console. I don't really have much to say about the septic spitter because, again, I didn't get to fight any of these. They didn't show up when I was playing, so maybe they are very rare, or maybe they're only in certain biomes. I don't know, I tried going to like a different biome each time, but I don't think I ever went to like the fungus bog, so they might be there. And then we have new Rockpox enemies. These ones do appear more on Rockpox missions, so lithophage missions, and I think that's about it. They usually don't show up anywhere else. We did have Rockpox hordes, which did have these guys thrown in. So we have 4 new Rockpox variants. We have Rockpox exploders, spitters, bombers, and breeders. The breeders will just keep spitting out the parasites that will go and attack you. It's not quite like how they do with the jellyfish, where it spits out the roe, and then the roe builds up, and then the jellyfish go out and attack people. This one just immediately spits out 3 or 4 of them at a time every time it wants to spit them. And then once it dies, it bursts into a bunch of other parasites. So those ones are pretty creepy, and they can be pretty annoying. You want to take them out quickly. Since they are a flying enemy though, if you freeze them, it should kill them immediately. I don't know if that kills the parasites inside of them, because we never did that, and I think I only seen 1 or 2 of these guys. Each time we just shot it to death. And then the bombers are a lot more common. They're basically as common as regular goo bombers are, so you will be seeing them a decent amount more. They are kind of rough too, because they do take reduced damage from everywhere that you hit except for their weak spots. Just like the regular Rockpox enemies. So they can be a little bit more annoying because they do fly around. The spitters are pretty awesome. I like their design a lot. They didn't pop up super often, but it's basically a spitter that can just keep constantly hitting you with Rockpox and infect you. I like that a lot. And the exploders just function like regular exploders, although they are more difficult to kill because they do take reduced damage from body shots, so you do have to still hit them in the weak spot. This will then cause them to explode. This does less damage than a regular exploder, I believe. It didn't seem to do as much to me, although I might have been on the edge of explosions every time, so maybe this still can one-shot you on HAS4 and HAS5. And then this leaves behind a Rockpox cloud, similar to the clouds that you kind of see from like the Praetorians that already exist. So pretty cool new variants. I like them. I think that it's a cool addition to the game. Another thing that we got is the new jet boots. Jet boots are random on missions as to when they spawn. They can spawn on any mission, I believe. I don't think that they're only related to Rockpox missions, although we only got them on Rockpox missions, and those were missions that I specifically spawned them on, because you can do that in the beta as well. So you'll find a box on a mission. This can be in any random spot, similar to like cargo crates and stuff. You have to play a mini game, which the mini game is new. It's the new jetty boot, which is available in the space rig. We'll talk about the space rig in a little bit. Basically, this is Flappy Bird. You have to win Flappy Bird in order to unlock your jet boots. Then you can equip them, and you can constantly use them as much as you would like. These do function kind of like hover boots. We did test that out, where they will burn enemies below you if you go right over the top of them, or anything. If you're right over the top of them, it will set something on fire, assuming it can be set on fire. And these have a limited amount of use. You can just activate these by jumping and then holding down your jump, and then you'll be hovering. You can also release this to kind of drop and potentially stop you from taking fall damage. They are a little bit finicky to be using, but they are really fun to use. They can also overheat. So if they overheat, then you can't use the jump boots for the entire time until they come off of cooldown. If they're not overheated, you can use them up to any point, but you do have a meter that fills up on the left-hand side of your screen. So aside from that, there is also some new changes to the space rig. There is the Jetty Boots Arcade, which I sort of talked about. It's behind the bar. You can play this to try to get a high score there. Again, this is Flappy Bird. I sucked at this really bad. I don't think I ever got above like a score of 4. It was pretty low, but if you do like playing Flappy Bird, or if you want some practice getting the unlocks for the jet boots, you can play this at the space rig. And I do like that they have a actual arcade terminal there that has both your name and your friend's name that are playing on the server, as well as a bunch of other names on there like Lloyd and Bosco getting very high scores, and Mission Control even popping up on there too. I do like that. We have a new beer. This is Randoweiser. I hope I'm saying that right. This is a new beer that once you drink it, and I did try this on our very first mission, it will give you a random set of cosmetics and a random set of everything else. So perks, weapons, overclocks, mods to those weapons, all of your other gear like your pickaxe, your drills, your C4, your turrets, whatever it might be, is completely randomized for the next mission. And you don't know what it is until you actually get into the mission. This is really fun. I really like that they added this to the game. I'm definitely going to be taking this on like some deep dives. I'm probably going to be taking this on realistically every deep dive, unless I'm doing a challenge run in particular, just to kind of spice up everything. And I think this is a really cool addition to the game, because when I got in there, I had the flamethrower and the EPC for driller. I did pick driller. It doesn't change your class. Whatever class you're playing, you'll just get random gear on there. It also has a really, really cool mug. It's probably one of my favorite new mugs in the game. So you can do this for a fun new challenge. I really enjoyed it, although I got a very bizarre loadout where I had compact feed valves, which was really good on the flamethrower, mixed with EPC with heat pipe and like plasma splash on it, which was just a pretty bad combination. I'm looking forward to that, as well as there is a new randomizer in the weapon loadout terminal. So you can go over there and you can just click on the randomization and it will randomize all of your equipment. It'll randomize whatever mods you have on your armor, your weapons, all the rest of your gear, your pickaxe, everything like that. It's similar to how the cosmetic randomizer works at the wardrobe currently. And besides that, we have two other changes, one being sleeveless armors now. You can take the sleeves off of any of your armors, I believe. It's kind of nice, I guess, depending on if you want to do that. Kind of a nice little quality of life thing there. And we have a new performance pass, which will be going for the entire season. This is, interestingly enough, set up from left to right, where I think all the other performance passes were set from top to bottom. New skins on there, new emotes, new everything on it. The new skins do look pretty cool. I haven't tried them out yet. I haven't unlocked any of them, but they are infected skins. So you have some of the rockpox growing on the weapons, and I think that looks pretty cool on some of the larger weapons. Not so sure about some of the weapons that are really small and that are closer to your camera, or at least feel a little bit closer to your camera. And we have a new DLC with the Decontaminator pack, which looks great. I love the new colors for it. The orange, blue, and white look fantastic on everything. I'm definitely going to be using at least the colors for it. Maybe not the framework, but the colors definitely. Aside from that, we do have some other changes that were just in the patch notes. We have a copy and paste loadouts now, which I'm not entirely sure how this works, but it seems like you can just copy and paste a loadout already if you want to change things up. This will be really good for experimentation with different weapons and different mods. So I'm probably going to use that quite a bit. There's also a new weapon input buffer for weapons as well. All semi-automatic weapons now have better rates of fire, basically. A faster rate of fire than what you can get so that your inputs are a little bit quicker. That's pretty awesome. This will affect weapons like the Sabata, the M1000, the EPC. I don't know if this is going to affect the Loki with its semi-auto fire or the Warthog. I think it would. I'm not sure about other weapons though too, because I don't know if the Breach Cutter is considered semi-auto. But when I did test this out with the M1000, with one of its clean overclocks, it felt pretty good. It felt slightly faster than it did before for just regular shots. This did come with a nerf actually to the M1000 though, at least for Hipster, where Hipster got its rate of fire reduced slightly, but since the base rate of fire got increased slightly, it felt exactly the same when I tested this out. Hipster feels just as strong as it did before. Technically a slight nerf to Hipster, but a buff to the M1000 overall, and a buff to other weapons like the Sabata and the EPC. And speaking of the Sabata, it actually got changed quite a bit. So it got a rework similar to how the GK2 got its rework a couple months back. So the way that the Sabata got changed was that it has a reduced ammo now by 16. It's not by that much, but it also got an increase to its weak spot damage. So it's no longer 20% bonus, it's 25% bonus damage. Aside from that, its mods got changed around as well, so now they look kind of like this, which is a nice bonus. You can now have more damage on the Sabata than you did previously. There is still, I think, the same tier 1 options of increased accuracy or increased magazine size, although magazine size has been nerfed slightly to where it's no longer 5 more shots, it's only 4 more shots, as well as its damage mods got buffed, so you can actually go up to 18 base damage with the Sabata now, which is pretty great. There is some new modifications in tier 3. There is one that is the 2-round burst fire. This one makes it so every time that you fire the gun, it actually fires out 2 shots at the same time. You don't really have a felt recoil. This is similar to like the burst pistol, and it's not bad. It's a little bit weird to get used to because of how the Sabata shoots, and the recoil does take a little bit of getting used to after you fired it a couple of times, because it kind of has a weird jump to it, where it's not a smooth recoil transition to it. But I do kind of like this. This is a pretty cool option for the Sabata if you want to use it. I also tested this with automatic fire, and it does work with automatic fire. You can just hold down the trigger and it'll keep firing these 2-round bursts. There was another thing that was buffed in tier 4 with the hollow point rounds. It now no longer gives you 60%. I think it was 60% before, because I think you went up to 80% weak spot damage with the Sabata, but now you can go up to 100% more weak spot damage. And then 2 of the tier 5s have been changed as well. The Sabata can now have blow-through rounds on it, which is a pretty big buff to it. Or you could also stack this with the explosive reload and put this on potentially 2 targets, which might actually be a good choice for that overclock. You could also probably do the double fire since it doesn't take as much ammo. That might be a really strong proposition, because you could potentially put 4 explosives out per bullet that you're firing with the Sabata. That might actually be something that's really good. I have to test that, but it sounds pretty strong. Usually you don't take blow-through rounds on like the embedded detonators with the Zukovs, because I think it's in the same tier as ammo. And usually you just go with more ammo because you get more value. With the Sabata, that's not the case though. It's not in any of the ammo tiers, so you can take full ammo plus the double rate of fire, or plus the 2-shot burst, plus the blow-through rounds. And yeah, that might be pretty good. There's also another tier 5, which is called the neurocorrosive toxic catalyst. Quite a mouthful, but this basically means when something is affected by the neurotoxin or when it's affected by the corrosion from the sludge pump and you shoot it to death with the Sabata, it will then explode, dealing damage to everything around it. So we've lost the acid-tipped bullets, which I think is fine. I don't think that was a huge nerf to this, because even with that, the Sabata still wasn't necessarily the best option with the sludge pump or with the cryo cannon before. It was still never a bad option, but it mostly did its best work when it was paired with the flamethrower and you took volatile bullets so that you could get more damage. You can still do that now. You can actually even get more damage out of it thanks to the buffs to this weapon, but now it should be a better option to take with the sludge pump at the very least. The tranquilizer rounds got changed to where they still have all the same downsides, so it's reduced magazine capacity by a slight amount, it's reduced rate of fire by a slight amount, and then you can still stun enemies for 6 seconds, but there's an additional effect to the stun, where now it will slow enemies that can't be stunned. That's pretty good, because if you shoot something like an oppressor, it can't be stunned, but you can slow it down thanks to this. I'm not sure if the slow also is applied with the stun, because things like Praetorians have stun resist and they come out of stuns quicker, so maybe slowing them down thanks to that might help a little bit there too. That's still to be seen. But for first overview of the new season for Deep Rock, really good. I like it. I think it's really cool. Some people were disappointed that we weren't getting new weapons or new overclocks. They've talked about new overclocks on the dev stream, so we might be getting that later in the season, or maybe we'll be getting it next season. But even so, I think all the stuff that they added to this season will be very fun. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying out the Sabata more and playing around with all of its builds, finding what I like with it, because the Sabata was always a weapon that kind of got complained about. It wasn't as strong as the other driller secondaries, and that was kind of fair with some exceptions, because I think explosive reload has always been a really strong option with the Sabata, and automatic fire has always felt really good. But I don't think any driller is going to complain that the Sabata got buffed. I think that's just a good plus across the board for them. So yeah, tell me what your thoughts are on Season 4. Again, if you can, try out the beta, do some bug testing before this actually goes live, and once it does go live, we'll have to see what changes come. So thanks everybody for watching this. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye!